welcome to my classroom. My name is Dennis and I will be your instructor for this class. My interest in design came out of nowhere and I fell in love. Combining my passion, gaming and thumbnails, I've come to realize that I could be using that to make money, doing what I love, designing gaming thumbnails. Throughout my work, I've met some cool and hardworking people. Fast forward, I started designing thumbnails for a professional Valorant player, Food, the player for esports team called T1. And later on, I managed to become a lead designer for some other teams such as a player group called Akatsuki, and I've had a lot of creative individuals hire me for my work. The reason why I talked about this is because I wanted to convince you that it's not that hard to turn your design hobby into an income, in case you actually want that. If you're here to learn just how to create your own thumbnails for your personal use, of course, I can help you with that too. Now that you're comfortable working with me, let me explain what we're going to learn in this class and break down how to design a winning thumbnail. Our course curriculum is pretty easygoing. We will set up everything you need to start creating, and first we will create a cool background with the subject in focus. Short text that explains the thumbnail and draws the viewer attention to check out the title of the video is needed too. After that, all of the assets, lights and overlays can be added. Last thing that you need is good, spot-on color correction and color grading. With all of that being said, you can export your final piece. Now, once you got the hang of it, we will design another trendy thumbnail with all the trending assets and effects from scratch together. After that, you're officially ready to start creating your own cool looking and eye-catching thumbnails. I will also talk about how you can turn this into a paying job and get your first money/clients ASAP. The last lesson in this course will teach you where to keep practicing, where to keep learning, how to improve, basically what to do after this course. We have explained everything in detail. Thank you for your time. Now let's start designing. And as always, listen to me everyone. Let's create. We can do it. Hello everyone and welcome to our actual first lesson. I'm so glad to have you here. Today we're officially starting. In this lesson, we're starting our first project and creating our first thumbnail in Photoshop. These are going to be specifically gaming thumbnails, as I said, and after the first lesson, you'll learn quite some things on what should a thumbnail have, what a thumbnail craves for the spectator, the viewer, for it to be eye-catching, so he would want to know what the video is about, and what a thumbnail should have on it, what should appear in the front, what in the back, what should be in the focus of the thumbnail, and the execution order of how we're going to create everything. So right now, this is my Photoshop. As you can see, these are some of my past projects, and this is actually the thumbnail pack that I'm going to be giving you for free. What I wanted to mention is this is not something that I've created, that I've gathered. This is just some free thumbnail pack that I found online. So since it's free, I guess it's right to give it to you. The name of the guy who created this is in here. So let's start our first project by clicking create new right here. And these are the options that I want to talk about right now. So as you can see, this is simple right here. This is the name of our project. So let's name it somehow. Course thumbnail practice. All right, let's name it like that. I don't know how else I could name it, but that's not important. Let's keep going. These are the options that your project will contain and the outcome of the thumbnail. So for the width, it depends on the height and the width of your thumbnail. It depends on where you want to upload your thumbnail. Since I'm almost positive that 95% of you basically are here because you want to learn how to create gaming thumbnails for YouTube, the basic size or the standard size, I'm sorry, is 1280 to height 720. This is the basic height, and we of course want to select pixels. And for the resolution, see, the thing how resolution works is it doesn't matter which resolution specifically you select or which number you put in, because the resolution is more about printing and dragging stuff. So for example, once we export our thumbnail, once we finish the thumbnail and we want to use it in some other project. Actually, I have a good example here. Let me show you this. So these are the thumbnails that I created, and I did them in 772 resolution size. And when I zoomed them in a bit right here, made them smaller or zoomed them out, whatever, they got kind of pixelated. So if you want to avoid that, you have to go with 300 resolution, but 72 is actually really fine. And of course, we're selecting pixels per inch. For the color mode, I'm sticking with the RGB because these other ones, I haven't been messing with them a lot. I'm pretty sure this one is for printing, which we don't need a thumbnail, of course, for. So just select RGB color. When it comes to the bit rate, any of these are quite good. For example, the 8 bit rate should work perfectly fine and your colors are going to be looking good. And as you increase more the bit rate, you will have more range between the options. And for 32 bit rate, you basically use that bit rate, that high bit rate, for pictures that have high dynamic range and a lot of colors that you want to point out. So I stick around in the middle, 16 bit rate, which is really fine, whichever one you pick. Background content, this doesn't matter. This is just the starting picture, which color it will be. You can even add transparent if you want to. But the reason why I choose white is because I'm going to cover it over with lights and pictures anyway, so it doesn't matter which one we actually select. And for the advanced options, you should stick with the sRGB unless you tested some of these out and you see them working better for you. But sRGB is the basic one, the standard one that we're going to be using, square pixels, of course. And those are the options for our starting project. Let's create our working space. As you can see, we are here and we actually learned what are the best options for our project. And right now, what I wanted to talk about is, I have my curriculum right here, is the gathering assets part. So a lot of the time, if I have something in mind, how am I going to create the thumbnail? How would I go over it is by going to PNG websites, Google Images and stuff. And let me just turn all of these off. How would I go over these is I will go to Google Images and find stuff. For example, the thumbnail that I'm going to be recreating is the one that I created for a professional Valorant player. His name is Food. He's T1 Food, and he's a professional Valorant player for T1 Esports. And as you can see, if I need his face to use somewhere for the thumbnail, I can choose any one of these. For example, I will be taking this one. I'm going to cut out his face and use it for the thumbnail. I will download this image. As you can see, save image. I will create a folder to know exactly where everything's stored, what I'm looking for, what I'm going to be using. And I'm going to open up another project, the thumbnail pack that we're going to be using to subtract some lights and stuff to take from there. And basically, when I gather the stuff that I know I'm going to be using, I start working on the project. But of course, throughout all of this class and throughout this whole project, what I do is from time to time, I remember I forgot something to download, or I think, wait, this could actually work really well on a thumbnail. So I go real quick, download it, go back to working. So multitasking is going to be involved quite hard in this one. And that's how I go over gathering my assets. So this would be it for our first lesson. We actually didn't start with a thumbnail, but we had some important things to discuss, especially about the thumbnail project options. So that will be it for these options. I will see you in our next lesson where we officially start creating our thumbnail. Welcome back to the course, everyone. In this lesson, we're officially starting with the thumbnail, and without further ado, let's jump straight into it. We're going to be working on the background and the subject, specifically how I edit the background from the start so it would point out the subject and to fill out the white space. So let's start. First thing that I want to do is open up some of my projects. Actually, let me go to my project file right here. Just a second. I have a lot of packs right here. For example, because I make gaming thumbnails, I've gathered a lot of Valorant screenshots, Fortnite screenshots, and stuff like that. But you can find them easily on Google, as you can see if you just search Valorant. There are a lot of these screenshots that you can use, or Valorant screenshots. As you can see, they're literally everywhere and you can use them. See, this looks really nice, really HD, cool. So let me see which one am I going to use. So Valorant thumbnail pack, backgrounds, let's see. As you can see, this is the part where I'm looking for my assets because I didn't gather them on time. That's a mistake, but okay, that happens a lot. So let's see this one. Let's drag it in, and this is going to be our thumbnail. So because I'm going to blur the background out, I want to expand this just a bit out of the edges, because if it fits right here on the canvas, once we blur it out, it's going to have some soft edges. So in this way, we're going to avoid that. Let's right click and rasterize this layer so we can add specific effects to it. And the first thing that I want to do is blur it out. And I'm going to do that by going to filter, blur, and then adding Gaussian blur, Gaussian. I don't know how you pronounce this, but I don't like to add a lot of it. Maybe 3.5. Press OK. And we're actually going to keep adding some more of it. So for example, go to blur, take box blur, and box blur is a really good effect, but also don't add too much of it. And go again to blur. Let's use radial blur. I like to add zoom and take the best possible quality and see if 10 is a lot for me, which actually is not. But you can click Ctrl Z to go back and then do it again, decrease the size and stuff like that. So right now, once we got our thumbnail blurred out, what I want to do is add a specific color to it. The way I'm going to separate highlights and shadows and give them two different colors is this way. I'm going to click on this right here, this little circle, and click gradient map. I'm going to right click it and create clipping mask. In case you have a faster way to do this, click it like this, or just in between right here. So this is the same thing, you know, but I'm used to right clicking, create a clipping mask. What I want to do right now is click on this part right here, and right now what you need to do is on the left side right here, these are the shadows. On the right side, these are the highlights. So if we go right here and drop this down to black and go right here and change this to some different color, as you can see, the highlights are pointed out. And what I want to do is actually select some kind of a pinkish tone, you know, more of a purple, but yep, that's it. And let's see right here, do we increase or decrease? Actually, yeah, that would be quite fitting. What you can also do is go right here and use some of the color grading methods. What I also like to do is add curves right here, create a clipping mask, and then right here are highlights, right here are shadows. Increase the highlights, but not too much. Decrease the shadows, and as you can see, it makes it look way more cinematic. The next thing that I'm going to do is adding our thumbnail pack that I provided you with. You can go and open it up, and the way you can open it up is, this is how I do it. There are plenty of ways, but just take it and drop it in here in this long tab, and just unclick this cover right here. And what I want to go down to is borders. This is something that I like to use. This is my personal preference. You don't have to use this, but as you can see, this border line right here, I really like to use it. So we can just Control copy and Control C for the shortcut and Control V for the paste. And we need to scale it to the right size. Let me just zoom in. The way I'm zooming in is by holding Alt and scroll wheeling up and down. I'm teaching you a lot of shortcuts while we're at it because they can be really useful. You need to know the shortcuts if you want to be a proficient thumbnail editor, creator, whatever. So we're just fixing some of the edges right here. The way I'm the way I open up the size, the transform thing, is by clicking Control and T. Those are the shortcuts, Control and T for transform. So now that we got this in the way, as you know, what's clicked, this right here in the project, that's where the next thing is going to appear. So if I click on this and click the create new layer, it's going to appear above it, and it's going to appear underneath whatever was above these curves, as you can tell. So I want to keep my border on the top all the time, so I'm going to keep it right here and keep working underneath it. And right now what we said we're going to do is our subject. So I'm gonna go to Google Images and search T1 food, and I said I'm going to take it from here. So the things I'm going to show you how to work on our subject is by cutting him out, making him look better and stuff. What you can do also is open up him right here, then copy and paste him here, but that's whatever. Once we cut him out, we're going to delete the background, so it's okay. What I want to do right now is select this select tool, and the way we're going to expand it is by clicking these what do you call these buttons? I don't know actually, so I'm going to display them on screen because I seriously don't know how do you call this. But what I'm gonna do right now is keep selecting, and once I miss something or I mess up, what I can do is hold Alt to change it to minus and deselect some stuff. So it's pretty simple, as you can see, pretty ongoing, simple. What I'm doing right now is just selecting his body, and when I make a mistake, hold Alt, fix that real quick. Nothing special, nothing tough for you. Right here, as I can tell, didn't select the eyes, so let me just fix that. Oops. I clicked Control Z to undo that. And I think this is a fair enough of a select. You don't have to go too in depth because these are not going to be some noticeable things. As I can tell, the hair could be selected a bit better, but we're having some problems with it. What I want to do now is, while we're still on the select right here, is click select and mask. And what I want to do is smooth him out, so smooth out the edges by quite a lot, feather them out a bit. You can do a lot, it depends on you. I don't want to, but right now what I want to do is keep selecting the parts that I don't want to and keep removing, stuff. So this way you can create soft edges and stuff, and you can fix your image just a bit more. And I don't think I actually have to do quite a lot of work, maybe right here with this white. So let me just zoom in because my Alt is bugging at the moment. It's not doing its job. I'm holding Alt to remove some of this white right here, and honestly that's the only thing that we could fix. Other things don't need fixing, I could say. And once we press OK, we're finished with it. This select and mask is really good if your subject has curly hair or something, so you need to select just that. Right here I want to fix this, and yeah. So what I want to do right now is, while I have this layer selected, is hold Control and press J. That's going to duplicate our layer within only the thing that was in the mask, and we want to turn this off, delete this layer, and this is our subject. I usually move my subjects, make him really big, I expand him really hard, rotate him just a bit, and I'm planning on putting him right here. So here's the thing. Our subject is kind of pixelated. The colors are, for me personally, kind of off and they're not cinematic. So what I want to do about that is the next thing. First, we still have these white outlines, and instead of taking, you know, the rubber and deleting it like this, we have a better way. It's actually really easy. Let me just remember, where was it? So if you go to layer and matting and take the fringe and add only 1 pixel, just 1 pixel, as you can see, our whites disappeared immediately. So let's undo it and hold Control Shift and Z to redo it. As you can see, it fixed up our subject quite well. It kind of got pixelated right here on the edges, but that's not really important. Here's another thing. I think his hair is really rough on the edges. So what I want to do is click right here on this thing. And while it's selected, if you take the painting tool, the brush tool, with the black color, while you have this selected, with the black color, you can remove things. And with the white color, you can add back things. So what I want to do right now is select, go to right here to brushes and go to general brushes, soft round brush, and kind of just tiny tap with the black. I'm switching my colors right here on X. That's a good shortcut to know. So with the black, I'm going to just touch his hair a bit so it's not really rough like this, you know, because still it's hair. And also there are some free brushes online that you can find for hair, so that could help too. They're really easy to import. Right now what I want to do is, while having my subject selected, let me just reposition him a bit more. So while we have our subject selected, what I want to do is go to filter and camera raw filter. And I'm going to fix up our subject because, as you can see, it's really pixelated. The colors are off. Everything is bad. So what I want to do is, let's see. I want to, as I can tell, like, while nothing has changed, our subject is really, really yellow for some reason. Probably some cheap lights were pointed at him. So what I want to do is add some blue right here. And if I add blue, as you can see, the before and the after, I fixed his skin tones. What I want to do is drop down the exposure just a bit, add some contrast, decrease a bit of the highlights because it's really blown off right here from the highlights. Add some shadow by decreasing it, and some whites. Let's see, maybe drop down the whites just a tiny bit. The blacks, we can drop down the blacks. And as you can see, our subject is looking way better. For the textures and clarity, of course, you can add some of that, but don't overdo it since it's a thumbnail. And drop down the vibrance just a bit because the yellows is still popping out. And after the edit, he got some red on cheeks. So by dropping the vibrance, we fixed up our subject really well. So what I want to do right now is, there's quite a lot of options right here, but I want to jump straight down to details. And what I want to do is sharpen him up quite a bit. As you can see, he's getting really, really pixelated. And by using radius, you can increase or decrease that. And what I want to do is drop it down and right now add a lot of noise reduction. If I add noise reduction, my subject is looking really, really creamy right now, if I can say it like that. He's looking really creamy as he was drawn, you know what I'm trying to say? So if we drop the radius just a bit, we lost all the fuzziness, and as you can see, we lost all the noise. And I know he's not looking natural, but it's actually a really nice look, to be honest. That's why I'm using it. So if we press OK, we're going to apply this effect to our subject, and voila, look at the before and look at the after. This is an insane improvement to the image, which I really, really like. The next thing that we want to do is make him stand out by going to right click, blending options, and I want to add an outer glow. This is some outer glow that I was using earlier, but I don't want to use it this way. I want to make him like really glow, you know? So by decreasing the spread, as you can see, spread is thick. What I want to do is decrease them, increase the size, and decrease just a bit of the range. The jitter, not gonna lie, I still till this day don't know what this option does. Never used it, never touched it, because it doesn't seem like it's doing anything for me. But okay, that's it. So I don't want to use him, I don't want to leave him white like this. I'm going to drop down the opacity. Let's see, maybe increase the range just a bit more, and spread increase. So what I want to do is use some blue, because the blue is the theme right now. Maybe use the blue from the thumbnail outer thingy. So let's see, we're gonna use some softer blue and click OK on that. And by adding that, we can see that we have still some imperfections right here. So we can take the eraser tool, and what we can do is delete this. Or honestly, a better way would be going back to this tab right here and using the brush, as we said, and using the black color, using the hard brush so we don't mess up the edges, and you know, just deleting some of this stuff. And as you can see, our subject is looking way better now, and we could actually do some of it on the other side. Do we actually? No, because I want to highlight with another color right here, so that won't matter much. So for now, I think that would actually be good. But what I want to do is light in the face of our subject. Actually, we're going to leave that for later once we add some lights so it will look more natural. For now, I want to keep going with this. Maybe right here, as you can see, so take this selection tool, this lasso tool, and just remove this part right here, which of course clearly is not the part of him. Go back to selecting this layer right here. I'm sorry, just select this layer back and click delete on your keyboard. Maybe delete a bit more of this. And go back to the brush, select this, go to the black, and remove this right here. So this is gonna look way better right now, as you can tell. And right now we got our subject fixed up, we got him lighted up, we made our background. We're gonna add some more stuff in the future, but for now this is it for this lesson. So we made our background, we added our subject. We're gonna keep working in the next lesson. For now, we're finished for this lesson. Thank you for having me here, and I hope I will see you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we're gonna be talking about how to create an eye-catching text. I'm gonna be showing you a way to create a really cool gaming text for your thumbnail. And what I wanted to mention is I changed something a bit. So basically I just changed this gradient map. I went here, and instead of the pink, I changed it to blue, because I will be adding some pink lights right here, so that will look natural. And I want to separate the light from the background. So that's all I did. I just changed the background color if you're noticing something's off. So what I want to do right now is keep creating my text right underneath this bracket right here, this box, whatever you call it. So what I want to do is click on this text right here, and it depends which font you use. This Burbank Big Regular, I'm going to give you this free, because this is a free font. This is a really popular font nowadays in gaming industry. So I would advise you to use this because it's really good looking, but if you want to go with something else, sure, be my guest. That's all your personal preference. But if you want to, I can drop you this font so you can download it into this class. So what I want to do right now is click right here and type something. So let's say I want to type food because that's the name of the guide that I'm creating the thumbnail for. The topic of the video is food Q&A with viewers. Viewers was asking him questions on stream, so I want to add food Q&A. Right now that I have the text right here, I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to tilt it. And what I want to do is double click this right here to select it again. And I want to increase the size of the text quite a bit because I want it to be in the focus. I want to double click it again and change its color to some pink stuff. What do you think? Yep, let's do this pink right here. Right now we want to edit our text and edit some effects. So the way we're going to do that is by right-clicking our food text and going to blending options. Right now I want to add some things. So here's a really cool way to edit your text. Add this inner shadow effect, and it shouldn't be looking like this for you. But the way to make this look like this is change this blend mode first. It should be on multiply for you, so you won't be able to see anything. Change it to linear dodge add. That's going to create this nice light right here. And of course you can mess around with the opacity, but that's up to you. Click right here, add white or any other color that you want, but white looks the best. And the angle of this is wherever you feel like the light is coming from. I like it from here because it gives this good depth of field to the text. And distance put at 4, choke 0, size 3, so 403. That's gonna give you this nice effect. Maybe even mess around with this, maybe add it to 2, and yep. So this is how to create this inner glow for the text. And right now I'm going to show you how to make it look even better with some drop shadow and creating this effect. If you go right here to drop shadow, blend mode should be to multiply 2, and you should change that to normal. So click on the color, so select our color that we have, and just go with anything darker that you feel that fits for this specific thing right here. So this text fits with this one, so select this color, go something less brightened, and angle is the same for everything once you select it because it's the only way to make it look natural. If you change the angle mode right now, it's going to change even for this. So just don't touch the angle after you selected the angle that you want. So for the distance, go with 12. Of course, you can test this out, but these are the settings that I found really good looking. Spread should be 200 because it's the most stretched out one. And size, you can keep it at 1 or 0, whatever fits for you. 1 seems totally fine. And right now, what you can do is click OK. See, our text looks pretty good now, but I want to add a final touch. So select our text right here and click Ctrl and G. That's how you group something. And double click on it, change the name to food text. So we know what's this. Let's select this, Ctrl G, subject or character. Select this, click on this, hold shift and select the last thing to select everything in between. Ctrl G and type right here background, and we have everything organized for now. So what I want to do is take this food text, and as we grouped it, go again to blending options, and now we're adding a drop shadow to our what's it called, our whole group and not only the text. So what I want to do is, as I dropped shadow, is go to select color, select this, and go even darker, but avoid going too dark. Something like this is good. So what I want to do right now is increase the size and create it like this. Drop the distance down to 8. Let's see, this size could be 21, and this is how I like my text to look. Maybe even just distance at about 7, 8. Yes, I'm gonna keep it at 8 actually. So this is a cool way to create our text, and this is a really eye-catching effect, really popular style when it comes to the effects. So what I want to do right now is add the Q&A. And now, as you know, as a designer, you need to be saving up your time. You can be wasting a lot of time on same things. So what you can do is hold Alt and drag this thing upwards, and that's how you're going to duplicate it. What I want to do now is click Control and T, drop it down, and click OK, drop this down. So we can select our text and change it to Q and, where is it? Q and A. What I also want to do is select only this thing right here and decrease the size of it so it would separate a bit. As you can tell, maybe just a bit more. Yep, that looks good. So what I also want to do is double click this again and select it, go to colors, change the color. Actually, let's see. This blue actually looks kind of nice. It seems like aqua color. What I want to do is go to inner shadows, and let's see, inner shadows. Yep, we're going to leave that as it is. It's going to stay white. Go to drop shadow, select our color, same options, just select our color and just go with something darker, I guess, and click OK. OK, and as you can tell, since we duplicated the group, we already have this grouped up. So go again to the drop shadow of the group and click here, select our color and go even darker, click OK, and for the size, stick with the same thing and rename this to Q and A text. So what I want to do right now is reposition it a bit, because as I can see, there's a lot of free space right here which is not used. So maybe jump this up a bit, take the Q&A, Control T, and add this right here. And this was the same file. This was the same size as the food text. So I don't want that. I want his name to pop out. So what I did right here is took this, drop it down, tilt it a bit to have the same position, and yep, this is looking quite good. What I noticed is now that I've added this blue right here that our background is kind of throwing off. So what I want to do is select our background, since they're same color, go right here to these effects and go to hue and saturation, right click it, create clipping mask, and just drop down the saturation of the background a bit so it would separate from the blue of our text. And as you can see, we dropped the saturation, lost a little bit of the color, and right now our text is actually much more noticeable. This is a really cool text to create and I quite like it. So that's how we create eye-catching text. This will be it for this lesson. Come to the next lesson where we will be teaching how to add some really cool lights and some background stuff and assets. So thank you for having me here, and I'm out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our latest lesson, and let's continue with the course. Right now what we want to do is add some cool lights to our thumbnail to make it more pleasing to the eyes and make it look better, more cinematic, and of course add some assets to do some things to the background, make it look better. Let me just check something. Yep, I kind of noticed this. Now it's looking good. The eyes of a designer, what will they notice? So what I want to do right now, I forgot to speak. All right, what I want to do right now for the lights is I want to select this right here because this is the background. This is our background, and what I want to do is select it so everything that I add from now on will be behind the characters, behind the texts, and behind the borders. So while we're here, just click right here, create a new layer, and what are we going to do is select a color. I was thinking this pinkish, but maybe more dark, so something like this. And what I want to do now is take the brush tool and increase the brush tool and paint, actually switch to the soft round brush and paint like this. For this light, I forgot actually that this light, we want this light above our character because I want to cover it up a bit. So what you could do after creating our light, as you can see, is going to normal and then going to maybe linear dodge or screen, see whatever fits for you from these options. But if you want to keep it at normal, you can just drop down the opacity, increase it like this, and maybe increase the opacity a bit now. And let's see. Yep, this is looking just as our regular thumbnail. So as I like how I lit him from this side, what I want to do now is lit the other side. So right now we go back just above the background and underneath everything else, create a new layer and increase our brush really big and just give it a hard swipe right here to the edge. See, something like this, but maybe even more. I want to hit a right angle, you know? So once we have this, oh, let me just add some more here. And once we have this, what you can do is right now switch to linear dodge. It looks good. If you don't want to, you can just go to normal and drop down the opacity. As I remember, we didn't do anything. Maybe just drop down the opacity a bit for the text right here, but we'll make it more pop after in the color grade. What I want to do right now is go to our character, add a new layer and create a clipping mask to it. I want to select this blue right here, and as you can see we made him glow out blue. And right now what you can do is just paint right here on the edges of him. Let's make it the brush a bit smaller. So what I want to do right now is take the brush tool, the eraser tool, and delete it a bit from this side. So our goal here is just to make him glow out a bit, and I'm going to almost completely remove it from the eye because it would be weird to have the eye covered up in blue. And yep, that is about right. That's making our character glow. Another thing is, if you want to create realistic light, you can only do it on the edges. You also kind of need to do it on the inner sides. So what I want you to do is create another layer right here and add this right here. Then select white and right now paint. Here's how we want to do it. Do it on the edges, for example, of the nose. So click on one point. Oops, I'm sorry. Click on one point. So add another layer right here. And what we want to do is paint in the highlights in the inner parts. That's how we'll make it look realistic. So tap right here and hold shift, and tap right here, all by holding shift. And right now what we want to do is take the eraser tool, make it softer, drop down the flow a bit so it's not too harsh, and just keep taking off these edges, make it look like his nose is glowing, you know? Now that we've fixed up our character with some lighting, what I want to do is go back and fix just a bit of these lights because they're too hard in. I want them on edges. So, alright. Right now, what I want to do is take some assets and throw it onto the background and make it look more realistic. Let's see. Change this to lighter dodge, add right here so we can see a bit of the background. What I want to do right now is right here above this, click right here, and what we want to do is add some stuff that we found for the background. So it's basically always particles or something. I found this, if you remember well. This is the stuff people drawing prisons on the wall, but I found it good decoration. What I want to do right now is hold Alt and drop it down. click Control T, hold Shift, and drag it down. If you hold Shift, you will move it really precisely. So do it again, another one, hold Control T, click it, drop this down. What I want to do right now is hold Shift and click on all of these and group them. Back decoration. Go in and copy all of these. Control T, hold Shift, and to the left. And I want to do this to all of this, so I would have more for the background, you know? What I want to do right now is go right here and go to blending options, go to color overlay. I want them to make them white. Click OK, drop down the opacity a bit, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna add some motion blur to them, but first click Control T and expand them, rotate them actually, add them just like this, and expand them. And what I want to do is make them tilted to a side. So how do we do that? We hold Control and then drag one side. And as you, hold Control and drag one side. So as you can see, this is how you tilt stuff, by holding Control. But it seems more natural to me to tilt it to some other side. Let's see which one fits the best. I think this one will. Yup. Oops, don't drop the Control before you finish the work. So this is looking really good. It's having a real dimension to it right now. Just a bit more. Ooh. Okay, so right now what I want to do is right click our back decoration, convert to smart object, then again right click it and rasterize the layer. What I want to go is go to filter, blur, and motion blur, and add some to the side. But as you can see, it's really hard, so I'm not adding much of it, just about 7%. Drop down the opacity of it. Maybe we could add another 7. And what I want to do is increase them. If I remember well, that's how I did on this one. Yup, I actually dropped down the opacity even more. And right about there, filter, motion blur. What I want to do right now is add another layer right here and add some paint splatter. I'm going to select our brush, and what I want to do is go right here to our brushes. Let's pick up this general thing. See these special effects brushes. This is what every Photoshop contains. These are some basic ones that are added to every single Photoshop. So just select literally any of these which you like. So this one, gonna make them bigger size and just gonna add them everywhere. So let's see, I was thinking about some specific color. What do you think of this? This is all about testing, honestly. Every time I do something, I never do it the same way. Always testing stuff and see what fits the best. Maybe even blending option. What about it? Now color overlay is gonna mess it up. I think no. Oh. Maybe add some white color overlay and add some filter, blur, Gaussian blur to it. Maybe like 1.5%. Okay. Alright, so this is actually turning out quite well. Maybe drop down the opacity just a bit more, so it's not just distracting, you know, but it's there. And I actually like this pretty much. So the reason why I gave you this thumbnail pack and haven't used it is because I like creating my own stuff. But all of this stuff that we added, you see these lights and everything of that, you can find it here. Because if you drop down the borders and go to brush lights, as you can see, there's the lights. You just drag and drop it. But I like to create my own lights. This is for beginners. Maybe some particles right here. You can use some of these to add, you know. These are good. They're all looking cool, but at the end it's all about testing and what fits for you. Here you got some arrows that I use this one quite a lot if I have something to point out in the thumbnail, which I will showcase you later once I'm going to be explaining some of my other thumbnails. So right now we basically got the thumbnail finished, and we have one final thing to do, which is really important. That's our next lesson. It's color grading the final shot, and you make sure to watch that because that's a really important part. Don't miss it out, and I will see you in the next lesson. So here we are. We have the final thumbnail. It's looking pretty eye-catching, pretty good, but what's left of it is to color grade it, and that's a really important part, trust me. And once we're done with that, I have a final touch to do to it, so stay tuned. What I want you to do right now is go actually click on our borders to our final piece right here and click Control, Alt, Shift, and E. You hold all of those and click E. Control, Alt, Shift, and E. And that's how you group everything into a single layer right here. So we have everything grouped up. And what I want you to do right now is hold Control and Shift and click A. That's how you open up Camera Raw Filter, the thing that we use to fix our character, to color grade him. What I want you to do is go to the basics and see what's looking good, like maybe some blue, maybe some yellow. If nothing, that's okay. You don't have to add these options, which I'm not. Maybe some pink, maybe some green, whatever, up to you. I'm gonna add just a bit of purple and blue, nothing special, you know. And for exposure, what you can do is bring it down. I'm going to bring it up just by 0.10 and add a lot of contrast. As you can see, contrast actually makes the thumbnail pop out quite a bit, makes it look really good. So about, I think, 25 of contrast. And what I want to do is, let's see, do we increase or decrease the highlights? Maybe increase them just a bit, then drop the shadow to -14. Whites, we bring those up a bit too. The blacks, we bring them down. And as you can see, it's looking way better right away. What I want to do right now is add texture, add clarity, add the dehaze, and dehaze actually fixes it up a lot when it comes to the lights. So maybe add just a bit of vibrance and drop down to basics, go back to curves. We can increase the highlights and decrease the shadows, but just tiny bit. And when it comes to the midpoints, you don't have to always mess with them, but I like to maybe decrease them just a bit. And let's go to details, sharpen things up just by 7% because of the text. We already fixed our character. And what I want to do is go to the color mixer. Right here, what I want to do is increase some of the colors and decrease some of them. So maybe for the purple, for the background, I'm not going to touch it. Let's see, the magenta, this is our text. Maybe increase it just a bit by 5%, and our aquas just by 10%, and they're looking really good. Luminance, it's brightening and debrightening the picture. I forgot to saturate a bit our character. He's looking really yellow, so drop down the orange a bit, go to luminance, see if we want to shadow up or brighten up, shadow down or brighten up our image, maybe more shadow, and drop the color mixer, split toning. We're not going to be messing with that because we don't need it, and everything else is just some minor fixes. That's it. Actually, this is our thumbnail. So if we click this on and off, we will see the before and after. So as you can see, this is the before and this is the after. Can you notice how better the thumbnail looks right now? It's looking insanely better. And this is something that I like about color grading, is that it makes your thumbnail pop way more than it used to be. And it's looking way more solid and eye-catching right now. So that's how you color grade a thumbnail. And with this, we're finished. The last thing that I want to do is, this is just a personal preference. You don't have to do this. But what I like to do is I add the thumbnail before this one and take this right here and create this little thing right here, as you can see. So right here, and right now I turn this off, this layer, and right here add another layer, and you can right click, fill in with a color, but what's easier is just take this, the brush tool, take the color, and just paint over it, but with a normal brush, just like this. And as you can see, we have this border line right here, and I add the logo of the player that the video is about. So place it here, then I turn on the layer again and drop the oops, I'm clicking the wrong one. Click on this one and drop the opacity, then select this and I increase the logo size to match to this one. I click space when I want to switch to the move tool, you know, space, and then I move. So this is the right size. Now we can delete our last thumbnail, go to the food one and drop a bit of shadow, but normal one, you know, but not this much, just a bit to separate it from this blue, you know, see? And for our layer that's underneath it, this thing right here, this Dorito, I'm gonna drop shadow just a bit to separate it from this, and maybe increase the size on it. Distance is good, and voila, this is the thumbnail. This is the last step that we have for this thumbnail. This is how I create my gaming thumbnails. Instead of this character, it could have been some kind of a game character, you know, some player, maybe some Fortnite, Valorant character or something like that. But this is how I create my gaming thumbnails. I hope you enjoyed this, and we're not done for now. As you can see, we're here, color grading a final shot. And right now, oh, I have to show you how to export. So later I'm going to be talking about how I made some other pieces that I'm going to show you, and how to earn your first money. Those are some really important topics, so don't click away before you finish the whole course. Right now, once we have the whole thing finished, we have to go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, or if you want to export it as JPEG, you can do it right here. But just so you know, there's no difference when it comes to the thumbnails, because if you want to use something later on, you want to stretch it, use it in other Photoshop projects, you would export it as JPEG. But for thumbnails, there's not much of a, you know, difference. So I just go with quick export as PNG, find my destination. Let's go to this PC, go to courses, design right here, and save. And that's it. We literally exported our thumbnail. It's right here. And this is our thumbnail. So we're done for now. Thank you for having me here, and I'm out. Alright, welcome back everyone. And after that last thumbnail that we finished, right now I want to show you how I create these specifically and honestly clickbaity thumbnails that are really trendy right now in 2020, and how you can recreate them too. What's the thought process behind creating all of this, and let's start. So this is going to be one longer lesson of creating the whole thumbnail from scratch, and this is nothing planned. I'm working on it right now so you would understand how I think and how I create this. So the first thing that I want to do is go to my packs and find the background. Basically, you can do the same on Google Images or somewhere. Just search on online Valorant screenshot pack or something like that. So let's go right here. Let's see. Okay, this one is looking really nice, and as I taught you, just stretch it out. I want to make it to look as if he's standing on the ground, so I'm gonna stretch it as much as possible to hide the ground. And it doesn't matter if it gets pixelated, I'm gonna blur it out. So this right here is our starting point. We go to Gaussian blur, we add the same options that I taught you. Gaussian blur, box blur, radial blur. Actually, let's add less of a radial blur because I want the blur to look more natural. And I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur. Add less of it. Alright, so right now it's looking way more natural. The next thing that I want to do is add our character. And let's go to thumbnails. Actually, I want to go to renders. I have some renders from my Blender, and I'm going to be creating tutorials, courses on that too, so just stay tuned. Follow the Skillshare profile, and let me just find the renders. Here they are. Let's use this one. Alright, so let me just position him. Somewhere around here. To seem as if he's trying to throw it upwards, you know? Let's rotate him a bit more because, as you can see, the arrow should be going like this. I want to go to this side. Alright, so we got our character here. I want to color grade him a bit because it seems like the background is not matching to him. So maybe a bit more yellow because he's on the sun daylight. More exposure, more contrast, highlights increase, shadows decrease, whites increase, blacks decrease, texture, clarity, dehaze. Voila. And I want to do the same to my background. I want to make it look more cinematic. A bit yellow, some exposure up, a lot of contrast, increase the highlights, drop the shadows, whites, blacks, textures. It depends if I want to add clarity because it's going to remove some of the blur. A bit of dehaze actually. Decrease a bit of the yellow. And there we go. Okay, so right now I want to add color balance because it seems to me as if I added a lot of the yellow, so this made the shot a bit more natural. Just decrease this a bit. Alright, this made the shot more natural because it was really yellow before. So right now we got our character right here. What I want to do is add our thumbnail pack because in our thumbnail pack I have a arrow that I want to use. Let's just find it. Arrows, it's right here. Copy, paste, reveal it. I'm going to use it later on to point towards the arrow that's going to be coming out of here and on the text. So the text is going to be here, the arrow is going to be firing here. Let me flip this. Let me stretch it out a bit. The arrow is going to be here. The text is going to be here. I think this is going to be good. And right now we need to find an arrow. If I remember well, I downloaded one from Google Images. So let's just look for it. When it comes to organizing, I'm the worst person for that. So that's something you should not be learning from me, how to organize. Nope, it's not this. Let's just actually download it again so you don't wait. Go to Google Images, arrow PNG. We need to search bow and arrow. So it finds a realistic arrow, you know. This is the exact same one that I've used, I think. Hit the free download. We're on a site with free PNGs. It's downloading. We got it. We can turn this all off. Go to downloads, it's right here. What I want to do right now is decrease the size of it, flip it so it seems like it came out of here. And as you can see, it's not looking natural. It seems like it's going like this, and it should be going like this, like to the wall. The way we're going to do that is with warp by holding control and moving options, as I taught you, if you remember. So this looks way better. What I want to do now is increase the size of it, and I want to add motion blur so it would seem as if it's moving. So I need to hit actually the angle of it. And yup, this seems nice. What I can also do is go to blending options, outer glow, and make it blue a bit, because this character from Valorant shoots electric blue arrows, so it seems more realistic. What I can also do is Alt and drag up this thing and go to blending options, color overlay, select a blue color, then go right here, go to linear dodge add, and take this blur icon, blur this out and drop the opacity of it to make it look more blue. What I can also do is blur, Gaussian blur, and see if it's going to fix up anything, maybe just a bit, you know. Filter, blur, radial blur, and we made it more blue. What I want to do now is add the text. What I forgot to tell you is I wanted to turn this red. So how are we going to do that is by selecting our arrow, going right here to hue and saturation, clipping it right here and changing the color to red, to something like this, red, increasing the saturation and dropping down the light. We made ourselves a red arrow now. So what I want to do right now is click on the text, go all the way up and click right here, type in 200 IQ. Drop this to white and decrease the size of it. We'll see how big we want this to look. So go right here, change this up a bit to the side. We can actually decrease the size of this because it's annoying from how big it is. Just like that. So what I want to do right now when I have my text is the next thing. What I'm going to do is go underneath it, so everything I create appears underneath. Take this pen tool, and this is the thing that I'm going to create. As you can see, we created a little bit path, a little pointer bit, which is really popular nowadays in thumbnails. So what I want to do is right click it and fill path with color, click OK, and oh, we forgot to add a new layer. See, mistake right away. So new layer, color, and it's going to ask us which color. We take red. Maybe a bit softer, it doesn't matter, just take red. And once we have that red, what we can do is go right here and adjust this thing. You can now clear the path, you know, you don't need it anymore. Just drag it up a bit. And what I want to do right now is drag this down and hold Alt and drag it down to copy it. Go blending options, color overlay, make it white, click OK, and right now hold Shift and drag out the sides as much as you would like. So as you can see, this is that popular arrow thing that everyone creates now in thumbnails. What we can do right now is group this, call it the pointer, and increase its size, get it up here. Right now I want to create a good looking text, and there's actually a really popular text. Let me just add drop shadow to this, make it black, distance, this angle, spread size, drop the opacity, distance. All right, so there's actually a really popular text that you can create. Look how you're gonna do it. So 200 IQ, let's say place, big letters. Here's what I want to do right now. I'm going to hover over this, go right here, go to yellow. Let's see. Okay, right here. I'm going to do this. And the next thing that I want to do is hold Alt and drag this downwards. Then zoom in, hold Shift and drag it downwards. And once it's here, click OK. Go right here, blending options, or you can just double click this, go to colors, select this one, and go with something like this. Okay. And right now we're going to resize it to make it fit better. Alright, so this is our text. What we want to do right now is go to the first text and go blending options, go to bevel and emboss, and drag this angle all the way up. Right now what I want to do is hold this depth all the way up and take size down to about 2 or 3. We're not going to be using any soften because we want sharp edges for the light. Let's see, highlight mode, we can change that to normal, bring up the opacity to whichever one you desire. Shadows, we can even turn that off, it's up to you. There's not much of shadows honestly because we drag this angle all the way up and the size is not that big. So this should be it, and we can also drop a bit of shadow, but I want to diffuse it just like this. Click OK, and what I want to do right now is right click the layer underneath and add a stroke. And if we increase the stroke, what I realized is we separated the down text really high up from the other one, and right now when we use the stroke, when we increase the size, it's going to look way more natural. But what you can also do for this is drop the shadow and you will have honestly more options, but it's up to you. And that's our good looking text. We can group it up, text, take it and increase the size, drop it like this to match this, and let's drop the shadow on the overall thing, you know. Distance, I'm not going to add any distance because I want the shadow to appear a bit on the pointer. And this right here is our thumbnail. What we can also do is go down right here and add the Naruto, the anime stripes that everyone likes in their thumbnails. So just drag them out so they're not really drastic, you know. Go normal, change it to screen for the blending right here to remove the black. Drop down a bit of the opacity so they're not that noticeable because we don't want them to be harsh. And yep, this is our thumbnail. So don't forget, as I always say, to hold Control Shift Alt and click E to gather up everything into one layer. Control Shift A and go to camera raw filter. When clicking that, here we go, my PC was bugging out. So maybe add a bit of yellow, maybe do we drop down the exposure to about -10, add contrast, highlights, shadows, as you know, whites, blacks, textures, clarity, dehaze, add a bit of vibrance, and to be honest, add a bit of sharpening, and that should be it. We don't need to add nothing else, I think. Hover between the before and after, it looks quite amazing actually. And if we press OK, this is how we create a clickbaity thumbnail for our latest video. So basically my point here, what I wanted to show you is how to achieve these trendy thumbnails with these stripes with a trendy text. You can use whichever one you want, this one or the one that I showed you in our last thumbnail. How to create this pointer arrow thing right here, which a lot of today's thumbnails have. How to work with arrows, how to change colors, how to make a shot more realistic, and how to create three dimension, you know, the depth of field between the background and our subject with blur. And that's how you create a clickbaity, trendy 2020 year thumbnail. So thank you for having me here. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something new. And if you did, make sure you stick around because I will be breaking down more of my stuff, and so you can learn and keep expanding your knowledge and keep learning new things and new trends for thumbnails, so your videos could get more traction, or if you're a designer, so you could get more job opportunities. So stick around and thank you for having me here. I'm out. Alright guys, welcome back to a brand new lesson, and today I'm going to be showing you my thumbnails for my portfolio, so I could break down how I created them, what was the thought process behind some effects and creating itself, so you could get a better grasp of how to think and how to make your idea into realization and reality actually. So here's my thumbnails, recent commissions and stuff. So here's the one that we recreated. The only thing that I've changed is I added the logo of his team right here, added the stripes that I showed you in last lesson, and basically I explained every step behind this thumbnail. So we're going to be moving quick from these two because I already explained them. As you remember, this one was simple. You already remember how it went. And right here, this is a commission. Actually, I'm working for this guy. I'm creating thumbnails for him. So because this game doesn't have a lot of high quality characters, or you can actually import them into Blender at the moment, the game is fairly new. It's called Hyperscape. What I do is I usually use his face because, as I said in our first video, it's the best clickbait thing you can have, a face expression. What I did right here is I used liquify effect to increase his eyes, make him pop, and to be honest, make him look a bit weird because that's going to be eye-catching. People are going to be interested in it. I used a simple text right here. Because he was playing from Northeast on EU servers, he had a lot of lag, so I went to point that out with the waveform and the ping right here. The kills are there, and as you can see, the lighting in the background making all of this separate from the background. I used a lot of Gaussian blur and radial blur for the background, and that's how I created this thumbnail. This one, I went with a really minimalistic look on this one. He got a world record for kills in Hyperscape. He got 51 kills, so I wanted to point out the 51 kills, so I made that the largest thing right here in the composite, of course next to his face, because that's the most important part. I needed a shocked face of him, so I DM'd him. He took the picture, sent it to me. I color graded it a bit, dropped it down. The kills are right here. They're the biggest ones, and I dropped the shadow to separate them a bit from the background. The world record is a really cool font called Gotham font, and I added the Guinness World Record logo right here, so it would catch an eye, you know. For the background, I added yellow lighting to the bottom, expanded it a bit to the top, blurred background, and I added these confettis for birthdays and special occasions, so people would understand something special happened. And as you remember from our first thumbnail, I did this right here for the logo. I did the same thing here, right here with the Hyperscape logo. Or this one is also for Hyperscape, but kind of a different one. This was a Battle Pass review. I tried to point out the guns. The most important part about the thumbnail people will be interested about is what's new in the Battle Pass, in the first Battle Pass of the game. I used our pointer that I showed you how to create in our last game. Arrows, I blur the background a lot. Use our gradient method to add black to the shadows and blue to the highlights. Making point out, zoom them out as much as I could. And that's the whole composite. Really simple and really good looking. This one is a bit different from all the other ones. So this was for a montage. This is what I use for content creation. This style of the thumbnail, this method, this is for content creation. This right here is for montages. This one is a montage too. As you can see, they're really similar. This one is a montage too. So this one right here, what I did is I took a screenshot in the game, then cut out the gun and make a highlight around it. And on this side, I dropped the shadow so it looked, cinematic and give it a depth of field towards the text. I used Gotham font for this one too because I really like the font. It's really professional. I dropped the shadow on it. For the background, I just added some blurs, and dropped down the saturation a bit because it was really lit up. I color corrected the hell out of this gun and color graded it to make it look more cinematic. This kill thing right here, this skulls, it's the same thing as I added these stripes right here, if you remember from our thumbnail. Really simple thing like I found on Google, the kill feed PNG, placed a lot of them, tilted them and blurred them out a bit. And I added stripes from anime. And I added a bit of grain when color grading so it would look a bit better. In my opinion, honestly, that's just personal preference. So this is a really minimalistic concept too, and I really like it. This is one of my favorite thumbnails that I've created. And yep, that's it for this thumbnail. For this one, basically the same concept. We have the arrow here saying best Valorant aim with a font. I don't remember the name of the font. I went into the game. I have this gun. I have the skin of the ghost gun in Valorant. I tilted the gun and took a screenshot. Then I proceeded to cut out with our lasso tool and our pen tool that I showed you how to use. And I on purpose added the finger right here so I would highlight it over the text. And I added lighting from the bottom. I added some orange lighting from our tutorial pack. You have the same thing. And I just searched on Google particles overlay. If you go to images, let's see where it is. See, you can use literally all of this. I think I used this one. Nope, maybe this one. I can't remember, but some of these, And what I did is I think I used hue and saturation to make them look also yellow because they were red, I think. For the background, it was just some radial blur and stuff. And as you can see, it turned out really, really well. I'm really proud of this thumbnail. And yep. So for this one, I cut out the gun. I blurred it out a bit because I overlaid it with a text. And I added outer glow, but I didn't let it spill out all over it. But I actually made it rough, with rough edges. This character is quite the same too. Same thing, Add a bit of the shadow behind the text, blurred behind the text, some particles, really simple stuff, As you can see, you're catching up by now of my style. It's basically blurring out and adding radial blur to the background, then adding lights to the side. Main subject is either the gun, a character from the game, like here, or the person who's in the video. And on the next side, there's a text and maybe something else that I want to portray with this arrow, this thingy right here, pointer. That's basically how my thumbnails go. This render right here, this is not my render. To be honest, I found this free on the internet. I inserted it. I blurred the background, had to cut out the background and work with some stuff. And I added the text. The text is really not something here. So I would recommend you to pick up this style, because the text is honestly not the best thing here. I did the hue and saturation thing with the arrow and I cut out the match history. This is the radiant icon that I added right here. That's how I fit up the background. I cut out the kills from a video that I had, so I just tilted them towards a bit to the side, so I stack up them in this particular way. Added glows behind everything, blue here, purple here, a bit of black here, blur the background, text right here. Simple stuff, simple stuff. I have some headers right here. If you want to show me how to create these headers or banners, call them whatever you want, let me know. I can create a course or a tutorial on this too. And yep, that will be it for the breakdown. So if you caught up by now, what I do is I have the subject or the character from the game really close up and really big. I add lighting, cool effects to the text, and I add some overlays and particles in the back. I add some arrows and pointers if I have to point something out, if it's a clickbaity thumbnail, the kills, and yep, that's pretty much it. So I hope you understood what you have to do behind these thumbnails when you're creating them. This is basically the concept that everyone uses. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned something new. Stick around to the next part to keep learning throughout this course. And if I'm pretty sure, let me just open up my course curriculum. Yep, the next one is how to earn your money, your first money as a designer, get first clients. Actually, this is going to be a really fun one. I'm going to be appearing on camera and talking about this stuff. This is something that I could help you a lot with, since I've started looking for clients about a month ago, and I already got some of the top tier content creators to work thumbnails for them. So if you want to learn how to earn the first money, stick around, watch the next video, and thank you for having me here. I'm out. So you're watching this because you finished all of the other lessons, you managed to create some of your thumbnails, you followed the protocol in the course, learned a stuff or two about creating thumbnails, and right now you want to learn how to make this a profitable business. Alright, that is actually not that hard, since you don't need to put a lot of time in this to build it up and stuff like that. Basically, all you need is a portfolio and you're good to go to start getting your first clients. But how do you go around that? Well, first of all, I want to manage something. When I say it's not that hard, I actually mean it. I actually mean that it's not hard at all to get your first clients and to start from there, get it rolling and start earning money, start earning a really good income. The thing that I wanted to talk about here is the reason people think that it's hard to become a paid designer is because they usually approach that the wrong way. They usually go for the big fishes. They want to get hired and get a fixed salary on a job immediately. They don't go for freelancing and stuff. And to be honest, for me, in my personal opinion, that's the wrong way to go. There's a lot easier ways to go around it, and right now I'm gonna be telling you my story of how I managed to earn my first money and get it rolling from there, get some other clients, get some big fishes in the game, and yeah, so let's start. So once I started designing thumbnails, what I did is, for my personal practice, I would just make random thumbnails. I would make thumbnails for my games, but I wouldn't upload them, just to practice, just to get the grasp of it, to see if I'm still good enough to look for other people and business opportunities. And once I was actually confident enough, what I did is I found this streamer. Well, I was following him actually from way earlier, but I realized he started playing Valorant, and that's the new game that I kind of loved at the moment. So what I did is, I've seen he uploaded a new video, it had no thumbnail and he wasn't that popular, to be honest. And what I did is, I created a free thumbnail, totally free, and I gave it to him. What I see all these other people do is they keep creating these free thumbnails, free banners, free headers and stuff for popular players in the gaming community, and they just do it for retweets and likes to get follows. What I did is, I directly sent a message to the guy and I told him, hey, here's a free thumbnail. I enjoy your videos, I think you're a good player, so here's a thumbnail to make your video look better, and if you want to continue working of course, we can set a price, so just let me know. And you need to know, if you want to approach it this way as I did, to use this method, you can't go for the big fishes right away, because you probably don't have a portfolio by that time, and they will want to hear which other people you worked for to see if you're professional and stuff like that. So what I did is, I gave him the thumbnail, he said thanks, he was thrilled, you know, and he eventually DMs me like after 2 weeks, he's like, yo, I have another video, can we do a thumbnail? I will pay, of course. So I was like, I got pretty hyped, to be honest. Those were my first earned bucks, and I did a thumbnail for cheap. I'm gonna be talking about the pricing later. But what I wanted to talk about right now is, from there we set the price, and I told him, hit me up whenever you have an upload. And that's what he did. Whenever he had an upload, he would hit me up for a thumbnail. So that was just a couple of bucks rolling in every 1 or 2 weeks, because he didn't upload regularly, like he wasn't uploading daily. But what he did is, I knew he had a friend group of players playing different games, and what I told him is, let your friends know if they need thumbnails to hit me up. But a couple of days go by and he tells me, yo, I have this friend, his name is Danny, and I hope it's okay that I'm saying his name. His name is Danny, and he actually needs thumbnail designs. He uploads really, really frequently, and he is really good at this Hyperscape game, the new Ubisoft game that he created. So I was like, more work, hell yeah. So basically what happened is, I started designing the thumbnails for that guy, and he uploaded really frequently. I was getting like commissions almost every day. On top of that, I was working with this guy, and on top of that, I was building up my portfolio, which would eventually lead me to getting new clients, which I wanted, with my well-structured portfolio, so that I could know what I was capable of, what kind of work did I do before that. And after that, I officially became the lead designer of the whole team. So that's where I started balling out. But during that time, before I became the lead designer for the team, what happened is that a lot of other people messaged me to do commissions for them. And how did they find me? How did that happen? Well, I wouldn't say I'm lucky. What I did is, whenever I had new work, I would upload it on Twitter, I would upload it on Instagram and stuff like that, Behance. That's where I have my portfolio. And what I would do is, I would use hashtags from the game, and hashtag thumbnail, YouTube thumbnail, YouTube poster, whatever. So people would find me there, other content creators, until I got reached out once by a dude, which name I'm not gonna mention. I don't know if I can. Basically, it's a guy with 100,000 subscribers, and I was amazed when I saw that. Wow, am I really gonna be doing thumbnails for this guy? Well, I did. He was satisfied with the work. I kept going, I kept uploading on my socials, which leads me to my next point, and that is branding yourself. You need to brand yourself if you want to get new clients. There's honestly no way for you to get clients unless you brand yourself and you make yourself show out to the world. Because how is anyone know what are you capable of, and what can you create, what have you worked on, what can you do for them in their videos if they can't see your work? So that led me to my next point, which I wanted to talk about, is you need to brand yourself. And you're going to brand yourself by first building a portfolio, which is the most important and crucial thing. And after that, you will need socials, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know, YouTube. You can upload time lapses of you creating stuff, or maybe show reels, And what I think you actually would really get help from is TikTok. Because TikTok is growing pretty hard, and it's really easy to grow on there. And it helped me with my other business where I did video editing. And what I'm trying to say is, social networks will eventually scale your business up and get you to more clients, from the hashtags, from the other people sharing it, from the recommendations on this social platform. So I got 90% of my clients I got through Twitter, and that's because I managed to, get a grasp of the gaming community, how it works there, because I was spending a lot of time on Twitter. And eventually what I did is, by using hashtags and posting my thumbnails more often, is what got me clients to reach out to me. And as I was working, I was building a bigger portfolio, I was uploading regularly, I had my prices up, everything was set, and I was just waiting for clients at that point. And that happened literally like through 2 months, that fast. I'm not even joking, that happened through like 2 months. It was so fast, and you're probably thinking like, well, I'm gonna need too much time. No, this happened to me in like 2 months. And that's shocking, I know. Now, after we got this out of the way and you finally know how to brand yourself, how to get your first clients, I think one of the most important things that I have to talk about with you is pricing. And the first tip that please listen to me is don't underprice yourself. Please don't throw yourself under people's feet, because eventually they will feel it and they will never try, you will never be able to charge more, because you need to appreciate yourself. You need to appreciate all the time that you're putting in there. And for example, I see people on Fiverr. You probably know what Fiverr is. I'm not going to mention it. I've seen people on Fiverr make the same exact thumbnails that I'm making, same quality to be honest, for what, like €4? Was that $5-6? In my personal opinion, that's really undergrading yourself, because if you become a slave of money, then you won't be able to get the desired clients, you won't be able to do desired work, because as you earn less, you will have to take more job opportunities, because there are bills to pay, there are stuff to pay, you know. I understand all of that, but hear me out. The more you appreciate yourself and give a right price that you find fair, the more clients you will get and the more your clients will respect you. So the next time you do something, maybe up your prices, down your prices, you ask for more work, or you don't want to do something, they will respect that opinion. And what I would suggest you to do is start off, once you're actually fully committed and you're fully aware that you can create good trending thumbnails, which takes practice. So as I said, practice every day, create pieces. So once you're officially there, what you need to do is charge at around I would say $7 to $9, and ongoing you should increase that, which I got information for some of the top designers that they charge around $25 for a single thumbnail, which is crazy, but they got the big fishes. Eventually me and you will get there, but for now, from $7 to $9 is okay. Eventually you will up it to $12, which I did recently, and I'm extremely happy with the prices and it's going well. So once you finally know how to price yourself and don't degrade your work, I think you will be totally fine. So yeah, this would be it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something really useful. If you did, I don't know, like, make sure you keep up the work. Make sure you keep practicing, and I will see you in our last lesson. Hey everyone, welcome to our last lesson of this course. Wow, the time flies by. For our last lesson, I wrote down a couple of points that I'm going to be discussing about to help you know what to do after this course, how to keep practicing, to keep improving, where to keep track of each other, and stuff like that. So let's start. First thing that I wanted to talk about is practice, practice, and practice. I couldn't stress this enough, because practicing is something that helps me with everything. A specific way of practicing that I have is doing every day, creating something new. Even if I don't have commissions, even if I don't have to create a thumbnail, I will create something by myself just to practice, just to implement something new that I thought of maybe yesterday, and basically just to keep improving. That's my point. So practicing on daily basis should really help you improve and find your style and become better overall. And if you want to improve, what you need to do is, as I said, create stuff daily, if not daily, really frequently, and watch tutorials. Tutorials on YouTube are something amazing. They are free. That's literally a gold mine. YouTube is a gold mine of knowledge, and I don't think before internet there was a place to learn something for free and make a career of it. So guys, if you want to go on YouTube, which I highly suggest, and learn stuff from tutorials, watch other people. If you want to, you can also watch me. I have a YouTube channel. It's called, same as here, Reverse Cuts. Find it on YouTube. It's where I teach other people, 15,000 of other people, my subscribers to be more specific. I teach them daily videography, video editing, Photoshop,